I should have known something was wrong when Marcus insisted on throwing his engagement party at my house, but I was too caught up in the joy of seeing my son happy again to notice the trap being set. It was a warm Saturday evening in June, exactly 8 months after I buried my wife Helen. The house still felt empty without her, despite the 40 guests filling every room. Marcus had done all the planning, which I thought was thoughtful. He wanted to celebrate his engagement to Jessica at the place where he grew up, where his mother had raised him. How could I say no to that? The party was in full swing. Neighbors I hadn't seen since the funeral were there, Helen's old book club friends, my former colleagues from the construction company I'd sold 3 years ago. Everyone kept telling me how proud Helen would be, how Marcus had finally found the right woman after his difficult divorce 5 years back. Jessica seemed nice enough. A little too polished, maybe. Too rehearsed in the way she laughed at my stories, touched my arm when she thanked me for hosting. But I figured I was just being an overprotective father. Marcus was 38, old enough to make his own choices. And after watching him struggle through that messy divorce from Rachel, I just wanted him to be happy. Around 8 o'clock, Marcus found me in the kitchen, refilling the ice bucket. He had that look on his face, the one I remembered from when he was 10, and had broken the neighbor's window with a baseball, half guilty, half defiant. "Dad, can we talk? Somewhere private?" My stomach tightened, but I nodded. We went to my office, the small room off the garage that Helen had always called my cave. Marcus closed the door behind us. Jessica slipped in right after, which should have been my second warning sign. Why did his fiancée need to be part of a private father-son conversation? "What's going on?" I asked, settling into my desk chair. Marcus sat on the edge of the desk, too close, invading my space in a way he never had before. Jessica stood by the door, arms crossed, watching. "Dad, Jessica and I have an incredible opportunity." His voice had that forced enthusiasm salespeople use. "You know how she's been working in event planning for 10 years? "Sure," I said, though I actually didn't know much about Jessica's career. They'd only been dating 8 months. "Well, we found the perfect property to turn into a wedding venue. It's this beautiful historic estate about 40 minutes north, near wine country. 20 acres, original farmhouse from the 1880s, a barn we can convert. Dad, it's a gold mine. Weddings up there book for $50,000 to $100,000. "That sounds great," I said carefully. "But those kinds of properties must cost $1.2 million. Jessica cut in. Her voice was sharp, businesslike, nothing like the soft, deferential tone she'd used all evening. "But we'd make that back in 3 years, maximum. I've done all the projections." "Okay." I waited for the point of this conversation. Marcus leaned forward, put his hand on my shoulder. "Here's the thing, Dad. The owner has another offer. We need to move fast. We need to close in 30 days. I still don't understand what this has to do with me. We need you to refinance the house." Marcus said it quickly, like ripping off a bandage. "Take out a loan against the equity. Helen's life insurance paid it off, right? So you've got $600,000 in equity just sitting here. We need $400,000 for the down payment. The bank's already approved us for the rest, but we need that down payment, and our financing fell through." I felt like I'd been punched. "You want me to take a mortgage on my house? The house your mother and I paid off?" "It's just temporary," Marcus insisted. "We'll pay you back within 2 years, with interest. 8%. Better than you'd get in any savings account." "Marcus, I'm 63 years old. I'm retired. Why would I take on a mortgage?" "Because it's your son," Jessica interrupted again. "Because this is his future, our future. And frankly, Mr. Patterson, you're sitting on a pile of money while we're trying to build something." The disrespect in her tone caught me off guard. "Mr. Patterson?" She'd been calling me Jim all night. "I need to think about this," I said, standing up. "This is a big decision. I can't just... Dad, the seller needs an answer by Monday morning." Marcus was on his feet too, blocking the door. "If we lose this property, we lose everything." Jessica already quit her job to focus on this full time. "You quit your job?" I looked at Jessica. "Before securing the property?" "I gave notice 3 weeks ago," she said, chin raised. "Because I believe in us. I believe in this dream. I just wish your son's father believed in him too. The manipulation was so transparent it should have been laughable, but something about the way Marcus wouldn't meet my eyes made my chest ache. This wasn't the kid I'd raised. This wasn't the man who'd held my hand at his mother's funeral and promised we'd get through it together. I need to think about it, I repeated, moving toward the door. We can talk Monday. Monday's too late. Marcus's voice rose. Jesus, Dad, I'm not asking you to give us the money. It's a loan. With interest. With a contract. All legal. Why are you being so difficult? Because alarm bells were screaming in my head. Because Helen had always told me that when someone rushes you into a financial decision, you should run in the other direction. Because my son's fiancée had just shown me a side of herself that made my skin crawl. Let me sleep on it, I said firmly, reaching for the doorknob. Jessica's laugh was cold. Sure, sleep on it, while we lose the opportunity of a lifetime. Great parenting, Jim. I walked out without another word and returned to the party. For the next 2 hours, I smiled and made small talk while my mind raced. Marcus and Jessica left without saying goodbye. Several guests asked if everything was okay. I lied and said I was just tired. After everyone left, I sat in the kitchen surrounded by dirty plates and empty wine glasses, staring at the photo of Helen on the refrigerator. She'd always been the practical one, the one who read the fine print, who questioned things I took at face value. What do I do? I asked her picture. The house creaked in response. Through the window, I could see the oak tree we'd planted when Marcus was born, now 40 feet tall, its branches reaching toward a sky full of stars. Helen would never see again. I couldn't sleep that night. Something was very wrong. The whole conversation felt staged, from Marcus's rehearsed pitch to Jessica's sudden hostility when I didn't immediately agree. And that comment about the financing falling through, that their financing fell through. Why? If Jessica was such an experienced event planner, with a decade of industry connections, why couldn't they get traditional financing? Sunday morning, I did what Helen would have done. I started researching. Jessica Porter had worked at Luminous Events in San Francisco, according to her LinkedIn profile. I called an old friend, Robert Chen, whose daughter had used Luminous Events for her wedding 3 years ago. I asked him if he remembered anyone named Jessica. Jessica Porter? Robert was quiet for a moment. Wasn't she that coordinator who got fired? Yeah, I remember now. Sarah mentioned it because Jessica had helped with the initial planning, then disappeared before the wedding. Apparently, she'd been pocketing vendor kickbacks. The company let her go quietly to avoid a lawsuit. My hands went cold. When was this? Maybe 6 months ago? Sarah heard it through the vendor grapevine. These event planners all know each other. After hanging up with Robert, I sat at my computer for 6 hours straight. What I found made me sick to my stomach. Jessica Lynn Porter, age 34. 3 LLCs registered in her name in the past 4 years, all dissolved. A small claims court judgment against her from a catering company for $18,000, unpaid. Yelp reviews from clients of her briefly operated JP Premium events, describing missed payments to vendors, no-show coordinators, and weddings that turned into disasters. Then there was Marcus, my son, the kid I'd put through college, helped with his first house, loaned money to during the divorce that he'd paid back faithfully. Marcus James Patterson. I pulled his credit report. I had his social security number from insurance paperwork, and I knew his mother's maiden name. It took me 20 minutes to access his report through one of those credit monitoring sites. $68,000 in credit card debt. I read that number 3 times, certain I was misunderstanding. But no, 6 different credit cards, all maxed out, minimum payments being made, but barely. His credit score was 592. The divorce had been 5 years ago. How had he racked up this much debt? I knew he worked as a pharmaceutical sales rep, made decent money, somewhere around $80,000 a year. Where had all his money gone? I kept digging, found his Facebook, which he rarely updated, but Jessica's was a gold mine. Photos of them at expensive restaurants. A trip to Cabo 6 months ago. Her wearing designer handbags, him in a new Tag Heuer watch. Bottle service at clubs. First-class flights. They were living like they made $300,000 a year, not $80. And then I found the real smoking gun. Jessica had tagged Marcus in a post from 2 months ago. They were at some luxury resort in Napa, and the caption read, "Celebrating our future wedding venue. Dreams coming true. Number dream big. Number wedding venue business. Number boss life." 2 months ago. They'd been planning this venue purchase for at least 2 months, which meant they'd known they needed money, which meant this party, this entire engagement party at my house, had been a setup. I felt like I was going to vomit. Monday morning, I called a private investigator I'd worked with years ago on some construction insurance fraud cases. Barry Hoffman, ex-cop, now ran his own investigation firm. "Barry, I need a full background check, and I need it fast. Financial records, criminal history, litigation history, everything. It's about my son and his fiancée." There was a pause. "Jim, you sure you want to do this? Sometimes families, I'm sure, they want me to refinance my house for $400,000. I need to know what I'm dealing with. I'll put my best guy on it. Give me 48 hours. For 2 days, I dodged Marcus's calls. He left 6 voicemails, each one more frantic than the last. The first was friendly, just checking in. The third accused me of sabotaging his happiness. The 6th was Jessica in the background, coaching him, her voice clearly audible. "Tell him we'll go to a different bank. Tell him we don't need him." Tuesday evening, I met with Sarah Chen, Robert's daughter, at a coffee shop in Palo Alto. She remembered Jessica vividly. "She seemed great at first," Sarah said, stirring her latte. "Professional, connected, full of ideas. But then little things started going wrong. Vendors would call us directly, asking about payment, saying Jessica had collected deposits but never paid them. She kept making excuses. Then, 2 weeks before my wedding, she just stopped answering calls. We later found out Luminous Events fired her for running her own side business and stealing their clients. She'd been taking deposits for private events and just keeping the money. No services rendered. Did anyone press charges? A couple vendors sued her in small claims. Won judgments. But apparently she's judgment-proof. No assets to collect. It's like she just moves on to the next scheme. Sarah looked at me with pity. "I heard she's engaged now. I'm so sorry. Is it your son?" I nodded, unable to speak. "Mr. Patterson, please don't let her near your finances. She's a con artist, a really good one." Wednesday afternoon, Barry called me. "Jim, you sitting down? Just tell me. Your son's in worse shape than you thought. 68,000 in credit card debt. Yeah, but there's more. He took out a personal loan last year for $35,000 at 22% interest. Currently 4 months behind on payments. He's also leasing that BMW at $800 a month, and he's 2 payments behind. His wages are about to be garnished for the personal loan default. Jesus Christ. There's more. Jessica Porter? She's got a felony conviction from 2018 Inches, Arizona. Wire fraud. She ran a wedding planning scam, took deposits from 16 couples, never delivered services, served 18 months, got out in 2020, moved to California, changed her business name a few times. I had to sit down. The room was spinning. A felony conviction? It's public record. I'm sending you everything now. Jim, listen to me. Your son is drowning financially, and this woman is a convicted con artist. If you give them $400,000, you'll never see a penny back. They're not buying a wedding venue. They're paying off debt and funding their lifestyle for as long as it lasts. Does Marcus know about her conviction? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? After Barry hung up, I sat in my office for 3 hours, reading every document he'd sent. Court transcripts from Jessica's trial. Victim impact statements from brides whose weddings she'd ruined. Credit card statements showing Marcus's spending patterns. The decline starting about 9 months ago, right when he met Jessica. She'd targeted him. I could see it now. A divorced man with a dead mother, a father sitting on a paid-off house and life insurance money. Marcus had probably told her about the life insurance policy on our second or third date, proud that his dad was financially secure. And Jessica had seen an opportunity. I had 2 choices. I could pretend I didn't know any of this, refuse the loan, and let Marcus figure it out himself. Or I could confront them with the truth and probably destroy my relationship with my son in the process. Helen's voice echoed in my memory. Sometimes the most loving thing a parent can do is let their child face consequences. I picked up my phone and typed out a text to Marcus. We need to talk. Thursday morning, 10 a.m., my house. Just you, not Jessica. His response was immediate. Dad, thank God. We can sign the loan papers then? I'll bring the contract. I didn't reply. Thursday morning came too fast and too slow at the same time. I barely slept. I'd printed out everything Barry had sent me and organized it in a folder on my desk. Bank statements, court records, background check, credit reports, Yelp reviews, LinkedIn history. Marcus arrived at 9:45, dressed in a suit like he was closing a business deal. He hugged me at the door, and I felt nothing but sorrow. Where's Jessica? I asked. Waiting in the car. I thought we could finalize this man to man, then she could come in to celebrate. His smile was hopeful, eager. The kid who used to bring me his report cards, so proud of every A. Come to my office. Something in my voice made his smile falter. Dad? We walked to my office in silence. I closed the door and sat behind my desk. Marcus stood, uncertain. Sit down, Marcus. He sat. I opened the folder and slid the first document across the desk. This is your credit report. Would you like to explain the $68,000 in credit card debt? The color drained from his face. How did you... Dad, that's private. You can't just... I also found the $35,000 personal loan that you're currently defaulting on. 4 months behind. Your wages are about to be garnished. Dad, I can explain. Please do. Because I'm trying to understand how my son, who makes $80,000 a year, who I raised to be financially responsible, ended up over $100,000 in debt while driving a leased BMW and taking trips to Cabo. Marcus's hands were shaking. It's not what you think. Jessica and I, we've been investing in our future, building credit, making connections. You have to spend money to make money. No, Marcus. You have to earn money to spend money. This, I tapped the credit report. This is not investing. This is drowning. Once we get the venue, we'll pay it all off. That's the plan. The business will generate enough cash to... There is no venue. I slid the next document across. This is Jessica's criminal record. Wire fraud, 2018, Arizona. She ran a wedding planning scam and went to prison. Does that sound like someone you want as a business partner? Marcus stared at the document like it was written in a foreign language. His lips moved silently, reading. His hands shook harder. You're lying. It's public record, Marcus. I hired an investigator. Jessica Porter, also known as Jessica Lynn Hernandez, also known as Jess L. Porter. Same social security number, same date of birth. Your fiancé is a convicted felon. You hired an investigator? His voice rose. You investigated Jessica? Your own son's fiancé? What the hell is wrong with you? What's wrong with me? I stood up, planting my hands on the desk. What's wrong is that my son and his con artist girlfriend tried to manipulate me into refinancing my home so they could steal $400,000 from me. What's wrong is that you brought this woman into my house, my home that your mother and I built, and tried to run a scam on your own father. It's not a scam! Marcus was on his feet too, yelling now. We love each other! She made mistakes, yeah, but she's changed. People change. And we do have a real opportunity with that venue. Show me the property listing. What? Show me. Right now. Pull out your phone and show me the listing for this magical wedding venue that's supposedly going into escrow in 2 weeks. Marcus's face went through several expressions at once. Anger, panic, desperation. I don't have the listing saved. Jessica has it. Convenient. Let me show you something else. I slid across the Yelp reviews, the small claims judgments, the investigation report from Luminous Events. Your fiancé has been running wedding planning scams for 6 years. Different cities, different company names. Same M.O. She takes deposits, doesn't pay vendors, disappears before the events. She's stolen from dozens of couples, ruined weddings, made brides cry on what should have been the happiest day of their lives. Stop it. Marcus's voice broke. Just stop. There is no wedding venue, Marcus. There never was. She found you because you were vulnerable after your divorce. She found out about the life insurance money. She's been bleeding you dry for 9 months, running up your credit cards, getting you to take out loans, and now she wants the big payday. 400 grand from your stupid father who loved you too much to see it coming. She loves me, Marcus whispered. Does she? Or does she love my $600,000 in home equity? We stared at each other across the desk. I watched my son's face crumble as reality hit him, as the past 9 months replayed in his mind through a new lens. Every expensive dinner, every luxury purchase, every time Jessica had pushed him to spend more, live bigger, leverage his father's wealth. He couldn't finish the sentence. You have 2 choices, I said quietly. Choice 1, you leave here, marry Jessica, continue down this path until you lose everything and probably end up in legal trouble as her accomplice. Choice 2, you wake up, end this relationship, and start fixing your life. I'll help you with choice 2. I won't help you with choice 1. You don't understand. I already proposed. The wedding's planned. Everyone knows. All my friends, my coworkers, her family that didn't show up to the engagement party. Marcus froze. There were 40 people at that party, Marcus. Not one person from Jessica's side. No parents, no siblings, no childhood friends. Doesn't that strike you as odd? She's estranged from her family. They didn't approve of her career, or maybe they knew what she is. Maybe they've watched her do this before. Maybe you're not the first, Mark. The word Mark hit him like a physical blow. He sat down heavily, put his face in his hands. I'm such an idiot, he whispered. No, you're a man who wanted to be happy after a painful divorce. She's a professional. She's been doing this for years. She knew exactly what buttons to push. I came around the desk and sat in the chair next to him. But you need to end this now, before you lose everything. I can't afford the BMW payment, Marcus said through his hands. I'm $4,000 behind on the lease. They're going to repo it next week. I've been using cash advances from one credit card to make minimum payments on the others. The personal loan people keep calling me at work. My boss asked me yesterday if everything was okay. Where did the $35,000 go? Jessica needed it. For business startup costs, she said. For LLC registration, for the website, for vendor deposits. She said we had to look successful to attract the right clients. He looked up at me with red eyes. It's gone, Dad. All of it. There is no business. There never was. The door to the office burst open. Jessica stood there, eyes blazing. You manipulative old man. Her voice was pure venom, nothing like the sweet tone from the engagement party. You couldn't stand to see Marcus happy. You couldn't stand that he found someone who wasn't your precious dead wife. Get out of my house. We're leaving. Marcus, get up. We're going to a bank that appreciates entrepreneurship, not like your dinosaur father who's too scared to invest in anything. Sit down, Jessica. I stood up and blocked her path to Marcus. Let's talk about your 2018 wire fraud conviction. Or should we talk about the 16 brides whose weddings you destroyed? Or maybe we should discuss the warrants in Arizona for violation of probation. Her face went white, actually white, then red, then white again. Marcus, we need to leave. Now. He's lying. This is all lies. He's jealous that you love me more than him. Is it true? Marcus's voice was hollow. The conviction? Jessica's mouth opened and closed. It was a misunderstanding. The charges were exaggerated. I was just, is it true? Marcus stood up, and I'd never seen him look like that. Cold, hard. Nothing like my son. I served my time, Jessica said. I'm a different person now. Baby, we can still do this. We can go to a different bank, or we can find private investors, or get out. Marcus's voice was low and dangerous. Get out of my father's house. Marcus, get out. He roared it, and I think it scared all 3 of us. Get out before I call the police and tell them you're running another scam. Jessica's face twisted into something ugly. You're going to regret this. Both of you. I have texts, Emails, promises. Marcus gave me money voluntarily. I'll sue. I'll tell everyone, you're an abuser, Marcus. I'll destroy your reputation. I have recordings, I said calmly. I pulled out my phone. I've been recording this entire conversation. Barry Hoffman, my investigator, helped me set it up. Everything you just said, including the threats, is documented. You want to sue? Go ahead. I'll countersue for fraud and elder financial abuse. And I'll make sure your parole officer in Arizona knows you're engaging in the same behavior that got you convicted in the first place. The bluff worked. I wasn't actually recording, but Jessica didn't know that. She grabbed her purse from where she'd dropped it and pointed at Marcus. You're pathetic. A mama's boy who'll die alone in this mausoleum. You were barely worth the effort. She stormed out. We heard the front door slam, then the screech of tires as she peeled out of the driveway. Marcus collapsed back into the chair. I sat down next to him. For a long time, neither of us spoke. How bad is it? I finally asked. Really bad. I'm going to lose the car. I'll probably have to declare bankruptcy, and I'll need to find a cheaper place to live. I can't afford my apartment anymore. Move back home. Dad, I'm 38 years old. I don't care if you're 68. You're my son, and you're in trouble. Move back home. We'll make a plan. You'll return the BMW. We'll negotiate with the credit card companies. We'll get you into credit counseling. It'll take a few years, but you'll recover. I'm so sorry. Marcus was crying now, really crying. Mom would be so disappointed. No. I put my hand on his shoulder. Your mom would be proud that you're strong enough to walk away. She'd be proud that you chose reality over fantasy. And she'd be really proud that her husband was paranoid enough to do a background check. He laughed through the tears. It wasn't a happy laugh, but it was something. How did you know to investigate? Your mother. After she died, I started hearing her voice in my head, telling me what she'd do. When you asked me to refinance the house, I heard her say, read the fine print. So I did. I read between the lines and I didn't like what I saw. You saved me, Dad. If I'd gone through with this, you would have lost everything. Maybe ended up as an accomplice to fraud. Definitely destroyed your credit for a decade. We sat there in the afternoon light, two men who'd both lost the same woman, both trying to figure out how to move forward. What do I tell people? Marcus asked. Everyone at work knows I'm engaged. I sent out save the dates. You tell them the truth. You made a mistake, you caught it before it became a disaster, and now you're moving forward. People respect honesty. I don't know how I didn't see it. The signs were all there. Love makes us stupid, I said, and con artists are experts at making us see what they want us to see. Jessica had you isolated, overwhelmed with debt, desperate for a solution. That's when people make bad decisions. Marcus looked around my office, at the photos of him and his mother on the walls. School pictures spanning 3 decades. His college graduation, his wedding to Rachel. His mother had kept every milestone, displayed them proudly. I miss her, he said. Me too. I keep thinking about what she'd say. She'd have seen through Jessica immediately, wouldn't she? Your mother had a gift for seeing through bullshit. It was her superpower. I smiled at the memory. Remember when you were dating Rachel, how your mom didn't like her at first? She said Rachel was too perfect, too eager to please. She thought Rachel was hiding something. Turns out your mom was wrong that time. Rachel was genuinely nice, just nervous about making a good impression. Your mom apologized later, remember? She made Rachel's favorite pie and said she'd been too suspicious. Marcus wiped his eyes. So even Mom made mistakes about people. We all do. The key is learning from them. The next few months were hard. Marcus moved back into his childhood bedroom, sleeping under the same glow-in-the-dark stars he'd stuck to the ceiling at age 12. The BMW was repossessed, and he drove Helen's old Honda, which I'd kept in the garage, unable to sell it. We met with a bankruptcy attorney, who helped Marcus navigate Chapter 7. It would destroy his credit for years, but it was the only way out from under $100,000 of debt with no way to pay. Jessica tried to contact him 17 times in the first 2 weeks. Texts ranged from apologetic baby, I made mistakes, but we can work through this, to threatening. I'll tell everyone you're a deadbeat dad. He doesn't have kids. To bizarre the wedding venue. People are suing me, and it's your fault. Marcus blocked her number after she showed up at his work, and security had to escort her out. We heard through Robert Chen's daughter that Jessica had moved to Seattle and was using a different name, already engaged to someone new. Some people never change. Marcus started therapy. Turned out there was a lot to unpack about his divorce, his mother's death, and his vulnerability to manipulation. The therapist helped him understand how grief had made him a target. By September, 4 months after the engagement party that never became a wedding, Marcus was starting to rebuild. He'd negotiated a payment plan for the personal loan after the bankruptcy discharge, was saving money living at home, and had been promoted at work. His boss, impressed by how Marcus had handled his personal crisis with transparency and maturity, gave him a new territory with better commission potential. We developed a new routine. Dinner together, most nights. Marcus insisted on cooking, said it was the least he could do for free rent. We'd eat at the kitchen table and talk about our days, about Helen, about the future. Sometimes we'd look through old photo albums, and Marcus would tell me stories about his mother I'd never heard, moments from their relationship when I'd been at work. One evening in October, as we were cleaning up after dinner, Marcus said, "Dad, I want to pay you back." "For what?" "For everything. For letting me live here. For saving me from Jessica. For the legal fees with the attorney. All of it." "Marcus, you don't owe me anything. I owe you everything, and I'm going to pay it back. Not money, necessarily, but I'm going to make you proud. I'm going to build a life Mom would be proud of. You already have, son." He hugged me then, the way he used to when he was little, before he got too cool for dad hugs. I held my kid and felt grateful for paranoia, for private investigators, for Helen's voice in my head telling me to read the fine print. That Christmas, Marcus was still living with me. We put up the same decorations Helen had used for 40 years, played the same carols, made the same cookies. It was bittersweet without her, but having Marcus there made it bearable. On Christmas morning, over coffee and cinnamon rolls, Marcus handed me an envelope. "It's not a check," he said quickly. "I know you don't want money, but open it." Inside was a letter written in Marcus's careful handwriting. "Dad, you saved my life this year. Not just my finances or my future, but my actual life. Jessica would have destroyed me. I can see that now. You had every right to say, 'I told you so,' but you never did. You had every right to make me grovel, but you treated me with dignity. You let me move home even though I'm a grown man who should have known better. You helped me navigate bankruptcy without making me feel like a failure. You listened when I needed to talk and gave me space when I needed silence. But most importantly, you showed me what real love looks like. Not the fake, manipulative kind that Jessica offered. Real love. The kind that does hard things because they're right. The kind that tells uncomfortable truths. The kind that puts on armor and goes to battle for the people it protects. Mom chose well when she married you, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life being the kind of man you both raised me to be. Not perfect, not immune to mistakes, but strong enough to face consequences and wise enough to learn from them. Thank you for being my father. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for letting me fail and helping me get back up. I love you. Marcus." I read it 3 times. By the 3rd time, I couldn't see the words through my tears. "Your mother would be so proud of you," I managed to say. "I hope so. I'm trying to make better choices, smarter choices. The smartest choice you made was walking away. The second smartest choice was having a dad paranoid enough to hire a private investigator." He grinned. "Seriously, that was some next-level suspicious parenting. I prefer to call it protective due diligence." We laughed, the kind of deep, cathartic laughter that comes after survival. We'd survived grief, survived betrayal, survived the discovery that family doesn't always mean safety. A year later, Marcus moved into his own apartment again. A modest 1-bedroom I could actually afford. He'd rebuilt his savings, repaired some of his credit, and started dating again. Carefully this time, with eyes wide open. The house felt empty after he left, but it was a different kind of empty than when Helen died. This was the empty of a child grown and thriving, not the empty of loss. I was alone, but not lonely. I still talk to Helen's picture on the refrigerator. I tell her about Marcus, about his progress, about the woman he started seeing who seems genuinely kind. I tell her about the new gutters I finally had installed, the ones Jessica had mentioned during the engagement party needed replacing, the comment that seemed to bother so many people who heard the story. I tell her I'm learning to live again, not just survive. And sometimes, I swear I hear her laugh. That particular laugh she had when I'd done something stubborn and protective. That mix of exasperation and love. You always did have good instincts, her laugh seems to say. Suspicious, but good. The truth is, I learned everything I know about protecting family from Helen. She'd spent 42 years protecting us, from bad influences, from poor decisions, from dangers we didn't see coming. When she died, I inherited that responsibility. Some people might call what I did paranoid or invasive. They might say I violated Marcus's privacy by pulling his credit report, that I overstepped by hiring an investigator. But here's what I know. If I hadn't done those things, my son would have lost everything. His savings, his home, his reputation, possibly his freedom if he'd become complicit in Jessica's schemes. And I'd have lost my house, the home Helen and I built together, the place where we raised our son and dreamed our dreams. So yes, I hired a private investigator to look into my own son's fiancée. Yes, I pulled credit reports and court records. Yes, I confronted them with evidence of fraud, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Because that's what parents do. We protect our children, even when they're adults, even when they don't want to be protected, even when it means they'll hate us temporarily. Marcus doesn't hate me now. He calls twice a week, visits most Sundays. He's building a life based on truth instead of fantasy, on reality instead of con artistry. Helen would say, that's all we can ask for. And sitting here in the kitchen she designed, looking at the garden she planted, I think she's right. The oak tree outside is even taller now, its branches reaching toward a sky that holds both our dreams and our ghosts. Marcus will bring his new girlfriend by next month to meet me, to sit in this kitchen and share a meal. I'll be polite, I'll be welcoming, and if my instincts tell me something's wrong, I'll make a call to Barry Hoffman. Because some lessons, once learned, stay with you forever. And the most important lesson I've ever learned is this. Trust your gut, read the fine print, and never, ever let anyone, not even family, pressure you into a financial decision that doesn't feel right. Your future self will thank you for it. Mine certainly does.